Okay, let's draw. So, for this video I wanted to make a cloth tutorial, but then I recorded this character, and since there's not that much cloth to see, so then I thought I'd make a hair tutorial, but I don't know, I wasn't that happy of how the hair turned out. So I decided to just make a new coloring tutorial. I already have a coloring tutorial on the channel, but I think the way I color now has changed a little bit. So let's see how I do it now. So lately I've been using the watercolor real brush, which you can see here, and these are the settings I use for my canvas, which is 2000 by 2000. I also will show you my layers for each step, as people has asked me about it. So the bottom one is the sketch layer, and on top there's going to be the outline layer. I wasn't sure which size the outline should be, so I played around a bit and then settled at around 9. Now I use the select tool to select every outside area and then invert the selection so I can color in the base color. So, but let me first fix all this mess of layers that I have. I like to do a layer for each part, like I have 3 outline layers. I like to do the face on a separate layer so I can edit it easily if I don't like it. There's a layer for the sphere outlines because I wasn't sure if I wanted to change the color. So I have them all separated, but I was more or less happy with the outlines. So first I created a folder where I will put everything from now on. Now we'll make a copy of everything what is on the canvas right now. So I have a layer with all the outlines. And I put this new created layer inside the folder that I created before. I create a new layer and put it in the folder as well, and this is where the base color is going to be. But also what I'm going to do is make a new folder and put all the single pieces of the outline into that folder. For the base color, I'm just choosing the skin color and fill in the selection. This is how my layers look till now. So down there you have the sketch layers, then the folder with the outlines, then the other folder where the base color is, the sketch layer, and now I create a new layer which I clip on the base layer. I'm also setting the outlines to multiply. Now for the coloring, I just will color each part of the drawing on a layer which is clipped to the base color. And most of the coloring is going to be on the same layer except the hair, so I can select it later easier, and the spheres, which I think I wanted to make translucent, but then I didn't. So let's see how the layers look at the moment. So first we have the skin base, which also is like the base color. Then all the other base colors are clipped to the first base. Then the hair base color. Then the outlines. Then we have an empty layer. And the spheres. Now we'll work on the first shadow layer, which will be the skin shadow. So I create a new layer and clip it to the skin layer. and set it to multiply. So for the skin shading, I use a custom brush that I downloaded, I think, on Pinterest. If you don't know how to add a new brush to Ibis Paint, first you need to search for the brush you want to have. Like, you can just go to Google and search for Ibis Paint brushes. QR code will appear, and you have to take a screenshot of that code. Then you go to the Ibis Paint program, click on the 3 dots up there, and then there's an option to import brushes. Select your screenshot and it will automatically add the brush. Sometimes it's really fun to just go to Pinterest or any site like that, search for Ibis Paint brushes, take a screenshot of all the brushes that appear, and then just add all the brushes that are on the screenshot at once. I really like this brush because you can make like really soft edges, but also a bit harder ones. So first I use a very light color for the first layer. I will make some harder shadows, but also some softer ones. Now with a darker color, but still with the same brush and on the same layer, I will make more darker shadows. So just adding a bit more volume wherever I think it's fitting, or wherever there would be less light. So I don't do the shading too different from my last coloring video, so I don't have much to say about it at the moment. Just that I have 2 multiply layer, which are the 2 shadow layer I'm working on, and a shadow color. I use this light purple, but I will later change the shadow colors. Okay, let's take a look at the layers I have on screen at the moment. So the one on top is the spheres, just the color layer. Then we have an empty one. Then the outlines, the shadow layer 1 and 2. Then I have also 2 shadow layers just for the eyes. I usually shade the eyes also on the same layers as the shadow layer. I don't know why I did it different here. Then we have the base color layers, like for the hair and everything else. And then below that, which you can't see right now, but there would be the skin shading layer and the base layer. So here's where I work on the outlines. First I duplicate the outline layer, then go to the special effects, blur and Gaussian blur it at around 25, I think. Then lower the opacity a bit if it's too blurry. So now I will color the outlines again. For that I hide the outlines, add from canvas to make a layer with everything what's on the canvas at the moment. Clip that to the outlines. And then just go again to special effects and change the saturation and lightness of this layer. You should make it a lot darker so you can see the outlines better, and depending on how colorful you want the outlines to be, you can crank up the saturation. Let's take a look at the layers we now created. So we still have the spheres, an empty layer which is going to be for the highlights, then the multiplied outline layer, the colors for the outlines, and the outline layer. And then down below are the shadows layers, base layers, and all that what we have already seen. So I do the highlights like my other videos, so there's nothing new. Then now I color in the shadows so they fit better with the colors. And overall just change a couple of colors. Oh, and I did make the spheres transparent. So let's take a look at the layers again. So the first one here is an overlay layer, which are the wings. I changed the color of the wings to make them a bit lighter, so you can do that with an overlay layer. Then there's the add layer, which is the highlight on the hair, which is in the face and in the eyes. For highlights I mostly use the add layer. Then we have the folder where just all the other layers, like the base colors, the shadows, the outlines, and all that stuff. So here you can see, I think, all of the layers. As you can see, I added a couple, but there are two add layers, so one for the hair, one for the eye. Then there are some normal layers, which are the highlights, like in the hair, in the eyes. And yeah, there's also another multiply shadow layer, which is just to darken some spots, like under the arm or the hair, which is behind. Another thing I sometimes do is go to the multiply layer, just one, then to the special effects section again, go to style, and there you have to go to wet edges and set that around 1 and strength, well, whatever you like. I used to do this effect when I used to draw on Ibis Paint on side, and I always really liked it. but it's easier to use on the side. So once everything's more or less how I want it to be, I add one canvas. So I'll make a copy of everything what's on the canvas, hide every other layer, and then I can use my favorite tool, the special tool or liquefying tool, how it's called in every other program. And yeah, move things around, like make the head smaller. And yeah, just fix some errors. I will also make another multiplying layer and just add some darker lines just to separate some elements from others. Like here I'm going around the arm, so it's clearer to see. So here the new method that I do to add more colors to the drawing. First of all, I create a new layer. I will make a folder so I can put in the drawing and the other multiply layer I just created, so I can clip this new layer on top of everything. And then I just pick random colors. Also, I'm using the watercolor brush just to give it a little bit more texture. And yeah, then I just go around the edges adding color. I will mostly always use pinks, purple, blue, and maybe a little bit of yellow. Now that I have all the colors placed, I will go through the layer options and see what works the best. By the way, also adjust the colors, like change the hue and the saturation, and then fix some parts where there's too much color. I always forget to add the shading to the hair, so it's very simple. You just draw like 2 semicircles and then blur out the edges, the upper and the bottom. For the background, I always just do something very simple because I'm not very good at it. So yeah, mostly like cloud shapes and hearts, and then the grid, which is an image from Ibis Paint. So if you want me to do an in-depth background tutorial, even though I'm not doing anything special, but you can let me know. And that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching again. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, please leave a like or feel free to subscribe. For next week, I'm going to do something extremely different, so I'm very excited about it, and I hope you will check it out. Anyway, thank you so much for your support. Okay, see you next time. Bye!